Welcome back, friends. It's Anders. Today we're going to be making 5 Falernum cocktails. Falernum is a syrup/liqueur that originated on Barbados. It has notes of lime, ginger, almond, but every Falernum is a little bit different. A lot of people will add different spices to it. It's used a lot in tiki drinks. In fact, the most popular Falernum bottle is the John D. Taylor's Velvet Falernum, and we've used this on the channel before. You can also make it yourself. And we did that on the channel too. Or, as of right now, I've launched my own Falernum in a bottle in partnership with Portland Syrups. These are the same folks that I launched my grenadine with. Now the thing is, this is not exactly the same as my homemade version because my homemade version was actually a liqueur. I used overproof rum as the base. This is booze-free, so you can use it in cocktails and mocktails. But it did take a lot to reverse engineer my homemade recipe to get it into this bottle. In fact, I think this was version 8. I'm really happy with the end results. I will talk more about this a little bit later, but first let's dive right into the recipes. Let's make some Falernum cocktails. To the bar. Number 1, the Barbados Cocktail. This is essentially a riff on a daiquiri. In fact, if you were to list the 5 most popular Falernum drinks, this would have to be right at the top. This and the corn and oil. And why I have it first on the list is because it's only 3 ingredients and you need to have a good Falernum for this cocktail to work. You can really use any rum you want, but I'm gonna be using a Barbados rum because it's the Barbados Cocktail. So grab a shaking tin, start with 1.5 ounces of an aged Barbados rum, add 3/4 ounce of Falernum, and 3/4 ounce of fresh lime juice. Add ice and shake, about 15 seconds or so, double strain into a chilled cocktail glass, garnish with a lime wheel, and that's it. There we have the Barbados Cocktail. Cheers. There we are. Look at that. That is refreshing looking. Let's see how it tastes. Cheers. That's really good. What I like most about this drink is it really does showcase the Falernum more than anything else. The rum gives it a nice, sturdy base, and then you get the brightness from the lime. So you've got the kind of the 2 extremes, and all in the middle is the Falernum. The spices, you get the ginger. In this case, there's a creaminess to it because in my recipe, I like to add a little bit of vanilla. And I think that's really nice in there. So there it is, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. All right, one more sip and then we'll move on to number 2. On to number 2, the Prestige Cocktail. Now this is a bit more contemporary. It was created by Dale DeGroff, and I've kind of tweaked the ratios a little bit. I know there are a few different ways that you can make this drink. It incorporates dry vermouth, which dry vermouth and Falernum is something I never would think to mix together, but it works really well in this cocktail. Once again, grab a shaking tin. To that, add 1 ounce of an aged rum, 1 ounce of fresh pineapple juice, 1/2 ounce of dry vermouth. You could also use a blanc vermouth if you'd like, but I'm going dry today. 1/2 ounce of Falernum and 1/4 ounce of fresh lime. Add ice and shake, double strain into a chilled cocktail glass, and garnish with 2 pineapple wedges. There it is, the Prestige Cocktail. Cheers. Look at that. Look at the foam on this one. This is all because we used fresh pineapple juice. The fresher, the better. Cheers. Yeah, this is an interesting one. I do really like it. I mentioned the creamy element from the Falernum because there's vanilla in that recipe. It pops out even more with this one, with the pineapple juice. It tastes kind of like a dessert. It has a brightness, light, fluffy. All in all, I'd say it's a really tasty drink. Although I have tried this with other ratios, and I do think this is an easy one to kind of throw out of balance. So I would suggest you try these ratios first before you do anything else. Now that we've got 2 cocktails down, let's take a minute because I'm sponsoring my own video to talk about this wonderful Falernum. Now, like I mentioned, I made this in collaboration with Portland Syrups. Earlier this year, we had a chance to go out there, get a tour of the facility, meet everybody, and workshop a little bit. It was a fun trip, and it took from then until now to get the syrup into the bottle the way we want it. And like all the other syrups they make there, they're all natural ingredients, so you're not gonna be surprised by some crazy thing you can't pronounce or understand. The hardest part was taking a homemade liqueur recipe and matching that in syrup form without the alcohol. If you are already a fan of the grenadine and you've been using that and you try the Falernum, the first thing you're gonna notice is it's not quite as thick as the grenadine. That's intentional. We were trying to mimic more of a liqueur with this one. Often recipes will mix falernum with other sweeteners, so you're not as reliant on the texture of the falernum as you are with the grenadine. It's more about the flavor, and this definitely is packed with flavor. As you can see, it is still a 12-ounce bottle. It also says a little something on here that says, created in partnership with world-renowned bartender and YouTuber Anders Ericsson. Their words, not mine, but so you remember who I am when you read it. And then there's a couple different recipes as well. There's the Tiki Twist, which is essentially the Barbados cocktail with a little bit of orange juice added to it. And then there's the Falernum Ginger Fizz, which is a mocktail. You can also get these in a 2-pack. I will leave a link in the description down below, like I do every week. That'll take you right there. So enough self-plugging. I'll stop plugging myself. And with that, let's move on to number 3. On to number 3, the 3 dots and a dash. This is a classic Don the Beachcomber tiki drink. And it has falernum in it, but here's the thing. The reason why I have this on the list is because we can see how it acts in a true tiki classic. It's one of those tiki drinks that has all kinds of stuff in it, and there's big flavors that go up against the falernum. In fact, this will be a true test as to whether or not this will play well with other ingredients. All right, spoiler alert, it does, it works really well. I can't wait to show you the recipe. In a shaking tin, let's start with 1 ounce of an aged rum agricole. To that, add 1 ounce of a Demerara rum, 1 ounce fresh lime juice, ½ ounce of orange juice, ½ ounce of honey syrup. This is a 3-to-1 honey syrup, 3 parts honey to 1 part water, ½ ounce of falernum, 1/4 ounce of allspice liqueur, also called allspice dram or pimento dram, 1 dash of Angostura bitters. That's a lot of stuff. Now, if you have a stand mixer, add some crushed ice, give it a flash blend for about 3 to 5 seconds, or you can just shake it up with the crushed ice and open pour into a chilled highball glass. Garnish it with some pineapple fronds and 3 dots and a dash, 3 cherries and a dash of pineapple. A square log cube of pineapple. Yeah, rectangular pineapple shaft. Set it right on top, drop in a straw, and there you have it. 3 dots and a dash. Cheers. Look at that. That's really good. There is a ton of flavors happening right now. In my mouth, in my brain. I tell you what, the falernum does not get lost. I can taste the ginger. Of all the ingredients in the falernum, that's what I get the most. It goes really well with the allspice. There's a roundness from the honey syrup, which is what I expect with the 3 dots and a dash. And then you get this fun play of rums. For those of you who want to know where it got its name, the 3 dots and a dash, I believe, is Morse code for victory. After the Second World War. This is a victorious cocktail. I hope you give it a shot. We are now gonna move on to number 4 though. So don't try it now. Wait. Number 4, the Chartreuse Swizzle. All right, I know before any of you say anything, Chartreuse is expensive and can be hard to find, and there seems to have been a years-long shortage of Chartreuse. Hopefully it's coming back, I don't know. But here's the deal. I have been wanting to make this cocktail on the channel for a long while, so I am going to just do it. I have the Chartreuse, I'm going to make it. This was created in 2002 by, I'm gonna mispronounce his name. I think it's Marco Dionysus. Marco Dionysus. And it's a fantastic cocktail. The base is Chartreuse. This is an example of a falernum cocktail that doesn't call for rum. Also, it's a swizzle, so we can just swizzle away in our glass. If you have a swizzle stick, now's the time to use it. If you do not, don't fret. Use a bar spoon. That's what I use. Grab a Collins glass, and to that, start with 1.5 ounces of green Chartreuse. That's a good amount of Chartreuse. This is what I love about the cocktail. Trust me, this is gonna balance out. To that, add 1.5 ounces of fresh pineapple juice, ½ ounce of falernum, and 3/4 ounce of fresh lime juice. Fill that almost all the way up with crushed ice and swizzle away. Work your way up and down the shaft of the glass. Don't say that. Swizzle away. You don't have to use a chilled glass here because as you swizzle, that's going to chill the glass. Once the glass is thoroughly chilled, you'll see some frothiness from all of the agitation and the pineapple juice. Top it off with a little bit more crushed ice and a big sprig of mint. Drop in a straw, and there we have the Chartreuse Swizzle. Cheers. Yeah, that's really good. I feel like I've been denying myself chartreuse for far too long. You definitely get an herbal note from the chartreuse, but I will say this Falernum holds up to that big flavor. I would say it actually matches the chartreuse in intensity. And then you have the pineapple juice rounds it all out. So this is kind of a cross. I get the chartreuse, the Falernum, the pineapple, the lime, all of it works really, really well together. I'm really happy about this. And also I really like the mint on the nose. I think this is a great cocktail because it's unlike so many other drinks. From the first time I ever tried this, I thought this was a good drink. I have always used the Velvet Falernum, so I was curious to see how it worked out with my Falernum, and I'm really happy with it. Oz, would you like to give it a shot?
Whoa.
What do you think?
Wow, a flavor bomb.
It is a flavor bomb.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, very pleased, very happy. The fifth cocktail, I had to throw in an original. I'm calling this cocktail the Satellite. I didn't want to make a rum-based cocktail because I wanted to show you that Falernum works well with other spirits. In fact, one of my favorite gin-based cocktails, the Saturn, calls for Falernum. But I wanted to make my own drink, so it's kind of loosely based on the Saturn. Oh, by the way, when I come up with a new cocktail and I'm thinking of names, I like to Google the name of the cocktail to see how many other cocktails have this name. I didn't see any other cocktail called the Satellite. How crazy is that? I think I get to claim the Satellite as a cocktail name. In a shaking tin, start with 1.5 ounces of a London dry gin. To that, add 3/4 ounce of fresh lemon juice, 1/2 ounce of Falernum, 1/4 ounce of grenadine, and 1 dash of Angostura bitters. Add ice and shake. You don't have to shake this too long because we are going to then strain that into an ice-filled lowball glass and top with just a splash of soda water. This is gonna be about 1/2 ounce of soda water. 3/4 ounce of soda. It's gonna be 1/2 to 3/4 ounce. For a garnish, take a lemon wheel and put that on a skewer with a cherry and drop that in so it looks like a satellite. Get it? It looks like a little dish, a little satellite. It's a satellite dish. I had little time to come up. I was focused more on what the drink tastes like and not so much on what it looked like. Apologies. All right, so there we are, the Satellite. Cheers. Pretty, right? I really like it. That's really good. At the last minute, I added a splash of soda water and I really like that on there. I got that idea from when we made Don the Beachcomber's Navy Grog. And he put a little soda water on there. At first I thought, that's gonna be silly, but it's really good. It gives it a little brightness, a little zippiness. You can think of that as the stars of the galaxy in this cocktail called the Satellite. Look at that. Just works on so many levels. Excellent, excellent. To wrap things up here, proof that I stand by my product, I will drink it on its own. It is really nice. At the very least, try these cocktails with whatever Falernum you have at home that you love. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Portland Syrups, for letting me make another syrup with you. And as always, don't forget your merch, sign up for the newsletter. I'll see you next time. Cheers.